Hey guys, welcome back to the channel by ByMWu. I'm ByMWu, aka Marianne, and today we have my 2025 fall and winter knitting plans video. I recognize that it's a little strange to say that while wearing a knit silk summer top and having the sun shining so aggressively. It's actually, I think, like 30 degrees outside. But with August coming to an end and September right around the corner, that's when I kind of start thinking about the fall, even though fall technically doesn't start until like near the end of September. But the cooler weather is in the foreseeable future, and winter is my favorite season. So I just thought I would come and share what I currently have planned for the fall and winter seasons. Quickly, before I get into the patterns, I'll mention what I'm wearing today. This is one of my most recent finished garments, and it is the Sabai top by Suzanne Muller. It is a gorgeous boat neck tank top that I knit in Knitting for All of Pure Silk held double in the color Brown Bear, which is this beautiful deep chocolate brown. I love this color. I was looking at my color palette. I never officially got it done, but I kind of identify as I think it's called deep winter, and they don't really have a lot of browns on it, but I don't care. I love brown and I wear a ton of brown anyways, but this kind of deep brown, I'm having a moment with right now. So yeah, this is the top that I casted on between the last podcast episode and when I filmed the next one. It was completed in about a week. It was super quick. It's basically all stockinette from top to bottom. And this pattern actually has two versions. I made the second version, which is the complete stockinette version. If you want to knit the first version, it has ribbing along the collar and I think along the edge. I don't remember if it has it around the armholes. Nevertheless, it's a really wearable top because it's silk. It's quite breathable. I think the original one was recommended to be made in Sandnes Garn line, something like that, which is, I want to say a linen blend yarn. So a very summery yarn, and it's just, I think, super cute. The only, I guess, negative comment, or not negative, but just kind of shortcoming of the pattern is that it's not size inclusive, unfortunately. I still opted to make it because I thought it was a really brilliant design with the cleanness of its look. And so I wanted to support the designer. However, I do want to be transparent here and let you guys know that unfortunately it doesn't hit all the way up to the 59 or 60 inch bust circumference. I want to say it sits around the 50 inch-ish area. I can't remember completely. But otherwise, it's a gorgeous garment. It's pretty bra friendly. I'm wearing a bra with it right now, and the straps are wide enough that you can't see it. If you have a bra that's a little higher, right, like mine right now, you can see it peeks out a little bit. It's not the end of the world. You could probably fix that by raising the armhole depth a little bit. But otherwise, I really enjoy this pattern. I probably will make another one just because it was such a fast knit and it's such a beautiful garment. But yeah, it's unfortunate that it's not totally size inclusive, and I would love to see that in the future if Suzanne Muller ever wants to grade those. That's the top I'm wearing today. I adore it. You might see a crease here. That's because I blocked it and left it on the day bed, and then Jube used it as a pillow and really cemented that line in. So I should have steamed it before I filmed, but also I wear things how they are in real life. So this is how it is in real life. Still a gorgeous top regardless of the line or not. Without further ado, let's stop talking about the summer tank and let's dive into some fall and winter patterns. None of these are specifically fall or winter. They're just kind of more like sweaters, so cold weather wear. And I think I have about 5 where I have the yarn already picked out for and on hand. I will talk about the patterns that I want to make. I will show you the yarns associated with those said patterns, and then at the end I'll throw in a couple honorable mentions. I think there's only 4 of patterns that I think are really cute, but don't currently have plans to knit up yet. And then subject to all change in the next couple months because I want to make all of these things, but sometimes other things come up that I want to make sooner. Sometimes test knits come up. Sometimes I'm just not feeling it, but I do have the yarn for all of these specific patterns, so I will eventually make them. Maybe. They're in no particular order, and I will caveat here that all of my yarn is in bags because a couple months ago when I moved into this room, I reorganized all my yarn to be project in Ziploc bags for the sake of avoiding moths. Not that I had any, I was just very frantic about preventing it. So I will try to cut out the crinkling as I'm opening each bag. I'm gonna name them 1, 2, 3, 4, but there's no actually particular order in which I plan on making these. They're just gonna come and go. But project number 1 is actually a remake, and it's the Tendreil Sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl, also known as Sophie Hemmings, I think is her last name. This is a beautiful drop shoulder, I think worsted or Aran weight sweater that has these like lightning bolts on the shoulder. I made this last fall or winter, and I was obsessed with it. It was probably my most favorite sweater last year, or at least it's definitely my most worn sweater since last year. And it's probably the only drop shoulder that I've really liked how it fits on my body. If you guys followed the saga last year, you know that I was having a moment with making drop shoulders, but not really liking how they turned out. This one was the one that I just like, I loved the fabric, the fit, the construction, the knitting process, just everything about it. And so I'm making a second one. This is the yarn. I'm actually making it in the exact combination that I did last year. Last year I made it in primarily this like almond tweedy color. It was Sandnes Garn's Pure Gynt. I want to say like the marzipan tutti fruity one. I loved a little bit of tweedy speckles. And then this year my plan is to make it in this beautiful forest pine green color. I don't know what the color name is, but it is color 7281. Both of these are the same color. This one here is Sandnes Garn Pure Gynt in that color. And then this one here, as I'm gonna butcher it, but it's the Alpakka Følgetråd. Probably saying that wrong, but it's a lace weight alpaca yarn that is a great mohair alternative that I held with the Pure Gynt in the other one last year, and thus doing it again. So this is a beautiful like forest green color. I'm obsessed with it. I don't have any sweater in this color just yet. I think it will be a beautiful addition, being like a deep green, but like a little bit of blue, super warm. I love this combination. I have plans to make more sweaters with it eventually in the future. It's probably like one of my top yarn combinations, especially from a commercial yarn. The Pure Gynt is really affordable. It comes in a bunch of beautiful colors. And then the alpaca thread yarn is just like super versatile. I like that it gives a little bit of like that mohair benefit in the sense that it's a little bit hazy, like a super subtle haze, but it adds warmth from the alpaca and a lot of beautiful drape, but you don't necessarily get that fuzziness from the mohair. So if that's not something you're looking for, you don't have to worry about that. I apologize for the lighting. The sun is going in and out of the clouds, and so there's a lot of changing going on. We're just gonna go with it, but yeah, this is the combination for that. I'm gonna look at my notes throughout this just to give you some details about each pattern if you're curious. So this one, like I said, is like a worsted, maybe a heavy DK, because the Pure Gynt is, I want to say 90 meters per 50 grams. And then the kind of alpaca one, I'm not even going to try to say it anymore, but this lace weight alpaca is, I want to say 400 meters per 50 grams. So held together, it probably gives a heavy DK, like a light worsted weight yarn. And this sweater comes in 12 sizes, and they range from finished garment busts of 39 and I guess 3/4 inches to 69.5 inches. And I apologize if I go between inches and centimeters. I think it's just like an occupational hazard of being Canadian. I say both. And I apologize if that's really confusing. I will link all of the Ravelry pages below if you want to see all the details for in person if you want to refer to the metric or the imperial system. This one is a really beautiful garment in the sense that it comes in a lot of variety while maintaining its main like features. So like I said, the features have this like beautiful like lightning bolt. Why am I explaining it? I have one. Let me grab one. Here she is, my original one. So it's this beautiful almond tweedy. It has this feature of this like lightning bolt cable design on the sides of the shoulder, and then it has a little bit of a drop shoulder. It's so warm, so chunky. It feels like a good sweater, if that makes sense. Like it has a lot of structure. The Pure Gynt is a little bit more of a rustic yarn. If you're sensitive to itch, wouldn't recommend. But because of that, it has a lot of like structure and a little bit of stiffness to the point where you're like, you don't have to worry about this garment. You know how sometimes you make a really soft, silky garment and you're like, worried about it. Like you have to like, if you look at it wrong, it's gonna felt. I feel like cashmere's like that. This one is not that. This one you can just chuck on, go skiing in it, like be outside in the snow and not have to worry about it. And I love that about this yarn combination and just this sweater. So yeah, I was talking about the variations of the garment. So you have two variations in terms of the lightning ball placement. You can place it closer to the shoulders, or closer to the necklines, excuse me, which is what I had here. You can also place it out so that they're a little closer to the shoulders. That's an option. She has both written in the pattern, an O neck or a V neck, whichever floats your boat. And then you have a couple options for the hem. So mine here is a split hem, done as recommended in the pattern, but she also has a basic hem if you just want to do the standard ribbing and not have that split. There's a lot of different combinations you can do to create the garment that you like. I haven't fully decided if I want to make an exact replica or if I want to do maybe a V-neck version. I don't really have a lot of V-neck sweaters, but I do find that O-neck sweaters are kind of easier to wear because you don't have to worry about what you're wearing underneath. Otherwise, sometimes that shows in the V-neck. So worst case, I will make the exact version just in that darker green color. I do worry that the cables won't show up as much, but I still think it will be a beautiful, beautiful garment. So that is garment number 1. I'm so excited. I like feeling this combination and pulling that sweater out because I haven't worn it in a couple months now. I love it so much. Okay, sweater number 2 is probably the most seasonally one, and this is the Holly sweater by Pernille Larsen, who is otherwise I believe the owner of Knitting for Olive, if not the primary designer. I think she's the owner of the company. And this is a beautiful circular yoke sweater that has holly detailing along the yoke. And I wanna make this for my Christmas sweater. Ideally, I could like finish it for Christmas Day and then have this beautiful sweater on Christmas. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And I've never made a Christmas sweater for myself, and I think this one is so cute without screaming Christmas, but it's still being very festive. So this one is a garment that comes in 8 sizes from extra small to 4XL. The finished garment's bust ranges from 37.5 inches to 58.75 inches. I will note that I was a little bit confused about this one because she doesn't mention the ease recommendation in this, but she does mention the like associated busts that finished garment's supposed to fit. And in the smaller sizes, there's almost like 4 or 5 inches of positive ease, whereas when you get towards the higher end, it's basically the same as the garment size, which is suggesting in the larger sizes you would have 0 ease. I don't know if that's intended or not, and so I have a hard time placing if this is size inclusive or not, because if it's supposed to have 5 inches of positive ease across the board, like it doesn't meet that, if that makes sense. But nevertheless, I still want to make this because I think it's a gorgeous sweater, and if the intended purpose is to have 0 ease, then technically it's close to being size inclusive if you count 60 inches as size inclusive. I've kind of relaxed on that a little bit because I've been reading a couple forums about people discussing size inclusivity in terms of garments, and some people argue that like 59 inches is not that different from 60 inches. Other people really disagree. I think to ding a designer just because they didn't hit that 60-inch threshold, that is, in my opinion, a little arbitrary, because like what's to say that it shouldn't be 61 or 62 inches? I have decided to just be honest about like what the available sizes are in like videos like this when I'm kind of like introducing patterns. I lost my train of thought, but nevertheless, my plan is to make this in Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair, which is the recommended yarn, of course, because she is the owner of Knitting for Olive. I bought some cream yarn. I won't show it here because it's just the standard Knitting for Olive yarn, and it's in cream, so it's like a beautiful off-white, nothing too exciting to share. And I have a bunch of scrap yarns that I think I can scrounger up to use for the hollies, and I don't have to buy more. Plan is to use some pomegranate color Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair for the little holly balls, if that's what they're called, berries. And then I think I have some combination of like Sandnes Garn Sunday and some other green-esque Soft Silk Mohair around in my stash or my leftover bin that I can use for the leaves. So this is a sweater that I really want to make for myself for Christmas. I do have plans to make another Christmas sweater for someone else, so we'll see how the timing works out. I might have to start one sooner than the other, just so that I'm not frantically knitting 2 sweaters at the same time for the same deadline. But I still think this one is a beautiful garment that has a lot of beautiful like finished art, like objects on the Ravelry page that really caught my eye. And so the fact that I can also use some scrap yarn is really like, I want to make this one. Next up is the Maggie Cardigan. And now I actually made a Maggie Cardigan but t-shirt version this last summer. If you guys saw my last podcast episode, I wore it there. I fell in love with that garment, and I now want to make the cardigan like in all the colors because I think it's just a beautiful staple shape. I learned that the construction is called a diagonal construction. Maybe I didn't learn. It's apparently called diagonal or European shoulder construction, and I didn't know that, and if it's incorrect, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the construction where you start with a trapezoid in the back yoke, you pick up the shoulder seams, and then you knit the front yoke, and then either connect in the round, or if you're knitting cardigan, you just knit it flat, and then you build out the armholes, split for sleeves, and then whatever the rest of the body is. I didn't know that was what it was called, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't know why it would be called a European, but diagonal makes a lot of sense to me. Nevertheless, this is a petite knit pattern. It comes in 10 different sizes, ranging from extra, extra small to 5XL. It is designed to fit busts of 29.5 inches to 59 inches. And I know historically I said I didn't want to make too much petite knit just because I wanted to spread the love to other designers, but sometimes when you just find a really good looking garment, you want to support that designer, and the Maggie Cardigan is definitely one of them. I will note that, and I said this in my last podcast episode, that I couldn't find the difference between the Maggie Cardigan and the Poppy tee other than the fact that one was a cardigan and one was a tee. They have the same gauge, they have the same construction. I don't really know what the difference is. Maybe the ease, but like I feel like ease is something you can easily like account for or adjust, especially if it's the same gauge. I opted to buy the Maggie Cardigan only and then hack it into a tee because I thought that would be easier than hacking a t-shirt into a cardigan. Just if you guys care about what I thought about that. So I am making the Maggie Cardigan for both t-shirts and cardigans. And so this one, like I said, I have plans to make a lot this fall and winter. I haven't fully decided which one I want to make because I want to make a cream one, a red one, and a blue one. And then there's possible foreseeable futures of making just like a bunch of different colors of the same cardigan because I love the design so much. For now, I have brought out my red yarn. We're kind of leaning towards that, but subject to change. This is the yarn here. It is a bright red because I really want like a vibrant red. This is Knitting for Olive. I love Knitting for Olive. I won't get into that, but this is Knitting for Olive Merino and their soft silk mohair. Again, my favorite combination. And both of these colors are in red currant, which is this really bright red. The Merino leans a little bit more just like true red to me, whereas the mohair leans a little bit more orange red. I think together they will be beautiful. And when I showed Ryan these colors, he's like, that's really bright. That's not something you normally would wear. And I was like, I know, but I'm so excited. And I think it would be great to have a red sweater, not only just for the like holiday season, but also to wear for Lunar New Year when that rolls around in the next calendar year, because I don't actually have any good red garments. Last year I tried to make one with the pomegranate color, which definitely leans more orange than true red. And it was a vest and I made it too big and I need to frog it and make a size smaller because I still really like that garment, but it was just a little too, it's a bottom up and I had a hard time figuring out how long or short I needed to make it. Is it a bottom up? I'm pretty sure it's a bottom up. So I want to make a cardigan in this gorgeous red color. Otherwise, I'm going to make this cardigan regardless. I just don't know if it will be for sure in this color yet, but eventually I will be making a red cardigan. What else to say about this one? I think it's just a beautiful classic looking cardigan. A lot of people like drop shoulder. I'm not a huge fan. And I find that raglan, maybe because I started with raglan sweaters when I was originally delving into sweaters, it feels very like casual to me, whereas I feel like when you have like a sweater or a garment that hits at the shoulders, it looks really polished and clean because I guess it's really fitted. And so this construction, the European diagonal, whatever we want to call it, it hits that sweet spot between like being polished but like fitted, if that makes sense. Which is, I think, why I love saddle shoulder, this construction, as well as circular. But then circular, I find as cardigans, not always the best, in my opinion. That's the Maggie cardigan. I guarantee you it won't be the first or last time you see that one, whenever that one comes up. The next one is another Christmas knit that I plan on making, and this is the King Salmon Sweater by Caitlin Hunters. If you guys have been following along, you know that I made a fish sweater of hers last year for Ryan. I made the halibut for Christmas for him, and I loved it. It was a beautiful red and white, and he wears it a bunch. It was a little big, but he still loves it nevertheless. And so when the King Salmon Sweater came along, I showed it to him and he was like, I really want that too. So that, in combination with the announcement of Brooklyn Tweed discontinuing their yarns, I went ham and I bought the recommended yarn, which was Brooklyn Tweed's Shelter, for this sweater, and it's just been sitting and waiting, and I think this is the year I'm gonna make it. It's the obvious, I couldn't make it last year, I didn't have the yarn. This is the season I'm gonna make it because I think it'd be so cute to give him another fish sweater. As I said, I picked up some shelters for this specific pattern. I saw a version on Ravelry that I thought was really cute, and it was like a green colored one. And so I picked up the shelter in the color Bird Brook, which is this beautiful deep green, and it's got some like flecks in it. I was watching an interview about Brooklyn Tweed and their creation of like shelter and their lines, and how they like took inspo about nature, and how like when you look in the forest floor, it's green, but there's also still flecks of colors. And so when you look at this, there's like flecks of red and lighter green and some like yellow, and it's so beautiful. I am obsessed with this. I really appreciate what they did, because like looking at it does look like, if you're like squinting at the top view of a forest floor, it's so pretty. So I'm planning on using this color as the main color, and I'm gonna I'm gonna use it with Foothills, which is this lighter green with a little bit of yellow highlighting in it, as the accent color for the salmons. And I think this combination would have been so cute to knit up for our Alaska trip a couple years ago, despite the fact that we went in the middle of summer, just because like salmon and Alaska, or the West Coast, is like so intertwined. But this will kind of be an honor to that, while also just being like a fun Christmas knit. I have been currently working on a sweater with this shelter yarn. It's a very interesting yarn because it's like a blown yarn, and it's got a lot of like friction, like it's not sticky, but like texture to it. It's a really lovely yarn, but I think this is the type of yarn, and I've heard from a lot of people that it transforms once you block it. The more you wear it, it gets softer with age. And this one doesn't seem as bad as the one that I was using earlier, which was the color Wood Smoke, but I don't see as much vegetation in it. I was having so much hay in the other ones. These ones don't seem as bad, but I will keep you posted on it. It saddened me a lot that Brooklyn Tweed discontinued their yarn, because it was really cool in terms of the way that they produced it and dyed it, and just like everything about it in America. But I'm glad I have my hands on it, and it's a beautiful yarn. It's very expensive. I think I mentioned before that it wasn't 100% worth it in my opinion. I got it on sale, which makes it slightly better. It's beautiful. I really respect what they were doing, but at the end of the day, for its cost, I think you can get a similar yarn for less. But you can't get it anymore, so I guess that's a moot point. But every time I look at this Bird Brook, I'm obsessed. I really, really like it. It's just like, it's like so subtle tweed. How could you not like that? Anyways. The King Salmon Sweater comes in 10 sizes, ranging from finished breast circumference of 36 inches to 72 inches. This one actually says that the recommended ease is 6 to 15 inches, and it's a beautiful sweater. Some people have complained about Caitlin Hunter's like fish sweaters in that sense that they have really long yokes to get like the full color section done. I've thought about making it shorter, but then I was also reading the Ravelry pages, and a lot of people say that it actually fits really well despite it being really like deep. So I probably will end up just following it. I'll need to figure out what size to make for Ryan, because I don't want it to be as big as the halibut as last time. It worked out okay, like it's a really cozy sweater, but it like probably could have been like one size smaller. Alternatively, I probably could have knit it on a size smaller needle. But anyways, I'm excited for the King Salmon Sweater. It's just, Fish sweaters are so cute. Last but not least is a dress. And if you guys have been following me for the last 2 years, you know that I've made 2 summer dresses, one last year and one this year. Both of them were from Sandnes. I love them. They were both pure silk on fingering weight. I really want to make a sweater dress because dresses shouldn't be only for the summer, you know? Sorry, Jude jumped off the bed and she's trying to like leave, but there's like yarn everywhere. Oops. The next one is the Mamba Dress by Maria Izaiva, I think is her name. I actually discovered this dress when Florence Miller from Handmade by Florence knit it as a test knit, I want to say a year or 2 ago, and it's this beautiful cabled dress. It's not all over cable, but it has some cabling in it, and I fell in love with it. So I figured this is the year I make a sweater dress because I want a dress that I can wear in the fall and be cozy in. And if I'm not feeling pants one day, I can just throw on this dress instead of having to like figure out like a skirt situation and then having to wear tights and stuff, although I probably will still wear tights. I'm rambling now, but this is a beautiful dress that comes in mini, I said this backwards, midi, and then full length version. And I do plan on making the midi length because I think it's just the coziest without being like too long. This one comes in 11 sizes, extra, extra small to 6XL, I'm assuming. But overall, the bust range is very narrow. So I would also classify this as not size inclusive. However, I also did hear that the yarn combination that she recommends has a lot of like give. And so despite it saying like those sizes, it ends up stretching out quite easily. So you could probably easily fit like a larger bust. That being said, it might alter like the way the overall dress is supposed to fit. So I won't recommend it, especially since I haven't made it yet for larger busts. But anyways. I do plan on using the recommended yarn, which is the Isagar Alpakka 2 held with Isagar Mohair, except I'm not using Isagar Mohair. I'm using, say it with me, Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair. I'm making a dusty brown version, which retrospectively, I think I should have gone for like a darker color or a lighter color, but I just like brown. It's just so wearable. So I am knitting it in this brown gray. This is Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in Dusty Moose. I think the name of this is so cute. It's just like a really soft gray brown that I really like. And I'm holding it with Isagar Alpakka 2 in the color E3S. This was one of those yarn combinations that I actually got the opportunity to go to a store and compare. I think I was looking at a different combination, but then when I was in store and I held them together, I thought they worked really well together. So yeah, this is the combination. This Alpakka 2 is 50% alpaca, 50% wool. It's about 250 meters for 50 grams, which I think is a fingering weight. So altogether, this will be like a sport light DK, and I'm really excited for it. Will it wash me out? Maybe. Do I care? No. I think it will be such a cozy, fun dress, and it will be a labor of love as any dress is. I have had my fair share of dress knitting. I haven't actually done a cable knit dress, so maybe this will test my patience. We will find out together. Those are the 5 relatively concrete knitting plans that I have, given that I have the yarn on stash. As I've mentioned historically, I always buy yarns with plans in mind. So all of these have been in the works for a while. I've just dedicated them to be 2025 fall and winter plans. Will they for sure happen? I'm not even 100% sure, but you know, it's nice to have plans and you can change them from there because life is fluid and sometimes new patterns will come in. Sometimes I'll find different things for different yarns and I'll repurpose them. But I feel really good about these plans in the sense that they will eventually get completed. Whether or not they get completed within the next like couple months, that's kind of the TBD. Before I send you guys off, I just want to quickly do some honorable mentions. I won't go into too much details. These ones will be quick fire just to show you what I've been liking, and you can explore them a little bit more if you are interested. But the first one is the Ginger Vest by Dorothy Officers, I think is her last name. This is a sport weight cable vest with the cutest side split. I love the way this one looks. For some reason, it just looks so classic and clean, but yet very cozy. And I think the colors that she used for her sample knits are just perfection. They're just beautiful. The next one is maybe a little bit preemptive to say here, but it caught my eye when I was scrolling through Ravelry one day, at least one of the test knitters. And I don't think the pattern's actually out yet, but I'm really waiting for it. And this is the Honey Cruller cardigan by Molly Conrad. She's also known as the White Owl Crochet Co. on Instagram. So I think she does both crochet and knitting. And this one, like I said, hasn't been released yet as far as I can see. However, there are a bunch of test knit pattern pages on Ravelry. So if you're interested in this one, you can check them out. But they're beautiful cardigans that have this like cable twist on the sleeve and the like front yoke sections. And I just think the name of it's so cute. I think a honey cruller is like a very common donut, but it reminds me of Tim Hortons and driving to Toronto with my dad, and something about that nostalgia and the way this cardigan looks just feel like a cozy hug. So I really wanted to mention that here. If this pattern ever comes out and I find out about it, I will let you guys know because it's just so cute to like not exist. But yeah, as of now, it doesn't exist right now. It's probably in the works given that the test knit is completed, maybe. But yeah, I wanted to mention it here because I just think it's really cute. The next one is the Midland cardigan by Laura Penrose. This one's a very interesting one because it's a garter stitch cardigan, and I believe it's actually knit sideways. It has a little bit of like a broader shoulder, tapered waist kind of look, and it's garter stitch like over the shoulders, if that makes sense. So instead of knitting it like in the round, it's actually knit like flat, but from like the front bottom over the shoulder to the back bottom, if that makes sense. It's very interesting. I think it would be like a lovely knit to get into because it is garter, so you're just mostly just knitting. And I thought the construction was really interesting, and it looks like a really cozy plush sweater. So definitely one to check out if you're interested in it. And Laura Penrose patterns are always great, and I'm sure this one is no different. And last but not least is the Javelin pullover by Titi Lutzak. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. And this one is a beautiful circular yoke that has like the coolest like twist, almost cable. I don't know exactly how it's made. You'd have to get the pattern and find out. But this really cool like intricate design on the yoke, and it's just so captivating. It kind of reminds me of one of the patterns that Rebecca Clow is currently designing, that she said she was like inspired by True Roots or something like that. It kind of has like that similar vibe where it's like very structural, but very like kind of like organic as well. I don't know. It's like super captivating. As you can probably tell, I'm really into textures because I think all of these ones had textures in them. So those are all the knitting plans that have caught my eye enough to actually grab yarn and plan for them for the foreseeable future, or who have caught my attention and are living rent-free in my head. If you guys have any plans for the fall and winter season for the next couple months, please let me know in the comments below. I love keeping up with you guys and being inspired by you guys and seeing what you guys are trending with right now, because I don't know, I just think fall and winter are just such knitting and crafting weathers that everybody has like this really big surge of creative juices the same way that we get in spring. It's really cool that we kind of get it twice a year as opposed to just one time of year. I tried to make this video short, but I still think I ended up rambling. So I will call it here. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps with my channel. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe so you never miss some stuff that I put out. Otherwise, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.